This, my friends, is an exclusive and unauthorized look at Shimano drop bar cues, a drop bar setup that will natively provide the widest possible gear range out there on the market without the need for any goat links, cage swaps, cable pull adjusters, ratio kits, you name it. It's just plug and play and it works. After months of emailing Shimano marketing folks, actually more like years to be honest, with absolutely no response, we just bought it outright. It cost way more than we wanted to spend, but we've been super curious about the setup, and we were able to do this video today with this video sponsor, Old Man Mountain. So give them a like on the gram, send them a message of thanks for supporting the weird shenanigans that we do here on Peak Mechanical, but more on them later. Looking at the shifters, they seem like pretty standard Shimano fare. The finish is this glossy dark gray, and the feel in the hands is quite good, and in my opinion, it's closer to 105 or Tiagra levers than it is GRX. They don't have that same tactile mattness of GRX levers, and also the pivot point feels more similar to Shimano's more pure road offerings. For you guys out there that want model numbers, this is the STU6030 left and right. Make sure you get the left with the 2x option. At the time when I ordered this pair, the 2x set wasn't available, so I had to kind of piecemeal it together with an orphan 2x left shifter and order a separate hydraulic brake caliper. All that to say, it cost way more than I wanted to spend. The total cost to us was about 420 euro. That's almost $500 in US money, so considerably more than GRX or Tiagra. Why is this? I'm not quite sure. CUES I thought was supposed to be the more economical lifestyle group, but as of now, it's more expensive than GRX. This could be because they see it more as an OEM component that's meant to go out with complete builds and want to discourage aftermarket use. Who knows? The shifters do have a few interesting tricks. First of all, the right shifter has this interesting selector so you can go between 10 and 11 speed with this nifty little thing. More on that later. These are hydraulic, but if you want to run cable brakes with this wide range double we're about to show you, the model number you want is the CUES STU3030 2x10. Unfortunately, it's only available in 10 speed, but it's way more reasonably priced at 170 euro at the time of this filming. However, no brakes included, so you have to supply your own. Okay, so what's so special about this? Why did we fork out the cash to make this video? Of all the Shimano derailleurs out there on the market for 2x, Shimano CUES, in particular the 8020, has the most native capacity, even more than GRX 810, which I've been playing with on multiple bikes and multiple videos. While on a GRX, I would comfortably run an 11 to 40 in the rear, or even 11 to 42-ish in a 2x setup. With CUES, this allows you to run their trekking gearing with drop bars, making it the ultimate loaded touring wide range 2x. On the Soma I have built up here, I'm running the 11 to 45 Link Glide cassette, the CUES 8020 rear derailleur, which I recommend over the 6020. The 8020 seems to have more capacity, even though the stated capacity is about the same, and an S-Ride Road front derailleur. There is a CUES front derailleur that matches these shifters, but at the time of ordering, it wasn't available on the site that I usually order from. The cranks are by Paul, they're their new square tapers, and it's running our alt crank double 3826. I've run wide range CUES 2x before. On the Panorama, it came with an 11 to 45 and a more standard 46 to 30 in the front. So super wide range for flat bars. What's unique today is that you can do this now natively with a drop bar setup. Let's talk about the front derailleur for a second. From what I've heard from other people messing around with this, it's supposedly the drop bar shifters don't work with the mountain bike / trekking style front derailleurs, which is a shame. I've not confirmed this yet. We're about to go to the US for a couple weeks, but when I get back, I will try this on the setup to confirm whether it works or not. But just as a side note, if you want to do this and don't want to deal with a lot of tinkering, then I suggest just getting the CUES front derailleur. I believe it's the 3030 FD is the model number. The S-Ride shifter I have works, but I did have to put a lot of cable tension on it, so I don't feel comfortable recommending it as a one and done. But how does it shift? How does it work? How do you select between 10 and 11 speeds? First thing, you guys know that we're about doing things a little bit different on this channel, and I thought it would be fun to highlight other folks that are thinking different as well with the help of our friends at Old Man Mountain. A great example of this is a Utah bag maker called Fishski Designs. He recently went on an interesting, I guess, so packing trip where he toured with his bike, an Old Man Mountain pizza rack, and a Juki TQ2000QI sewing machine. He powered the Juki with a Goal Zero Sherpa 100, and you could run the machine for 8 hours off of one single charge of the battery. During his tour in Japan, he would just set up shop in random locations, pop up a kickstand, plug in the machine, and start sewing in less than 3 minutes. On the back of his bike, he was riding with a backpack hanger of his design, and it was attached to the Old Man Mountain divide rack. You gotta love people doing something a little bit different, and Old Man Mountain for supporting us who follow our folly. Thanks again, Old Man Mountain, for powering these weird adventures. Okay, first let's talk about the speed selector. Out of the box, the shifter will be set to 10 speeds. To change it to 11 speeds, there is this little plastic piece that you simply pull out. It acts as a stop mechanism, and that's really about it. It's pretty elegant. I've already lost the little plastic piece, otherwise I'd show you right now. But I don't foresee setting this to 10 speeds. I mean, why would you, set it to 11 and then want to go back to 10? Okay, so back to the shifting. I have to say I was a bit giddy with glee to see this actually work. I'd run this wide range 2x on flat bar cues and have been waiting for the drop bar version forever. Shifting to easier gears feels like GRX or Tiagra. Nice and predictable. Shifting into harder gears, there's a bit of a lag and it's not as quick as Hyperglide cassettes. This has something to do with the whole link glide philosophy of prioritizing robustness over speed. I have to say in practice that the lag is probably more noticeable on the stand than it is in real life, but it is something that you sense. But I mean, again, if you're using this for touring, then getting as quickly as you can to the hardest gear probably isn't your top priority. So for me, it's fine. And to be honest, if it really annoys you and you have it set up with 11 speed, you could swap out the Link Glide cassette for a Hyperglide cassette, in my experience. Again, this only works in 11 speed, and you can't do this in 10 or 9 speed with the shifter just because of how the cable pull works. So one of the biggest upsides is the amount of capacity the 80/20 rear derailleur has. Even if you get caught out in the small, not your best riding configuration, the chain still has some relative tautness to it. This is pretty amazing. With the 38/26 and 11/45, that gives about a 600% gear range with a low gear inch of 16 and a high gear inch of 96. With a 4630 in the front and an 1145, this gives you 627% gear range with a low gear inch of 18 and a high of 115. And of course, because it's 2x, you can fine tune it all you want by swapping out the rings. You can change the high gears independently of the low gears, unlike with a 1x system. Speaking of 1x, how does this compare in terms of range with other systems out there? So with SRAM Eagle right now gets you 520% gear range, which is, in comparison, it's fine. The roll-off speed hub gives you 526%, so a little bit better. Probably the only setup that could give this a run for its money at a lot of cost and weight is a Pinion P18, which would yield you 636% range. But again, with some creativity with the chainring selection, you could probably get up to 700% range if you wanted to. All right, I'm going to talk about FAQs and random ideas, anticipating some of your comments. So will CUES shifters work with GRX or Shimano Road? Vice versa, could you use a GRX shifter with the 80/20 rear derailleur? And the answer is no, the cable pull is different. Another interesting question that I've seen kind of percolate is, will CUES work with SRAM? Maybe. There's some rumblings that the cable pull between CUES is close enough to SRAM's exact actuation. So I think an interesting combination in this scenario would be to pair some SRAM rival 22 11-speed shifters with the 80/20 rear derailleur and see if that works. If you guys want to see that combo, let me know in the comments below. Or better yet, join us on Patreon so we have the funds to continuously buy more parts to test and make videos for you guys. Another thing I was pondering is, let's say you have Shimano Road or GRX now, and you just want that wider shifting capability in the back. You could potentially swap in the CUES right side and use the 80/20 rear derailleur. Again, the shape is closer to Shimano Road than it is to GRX. Looking at it visually, the CUES drifter is actually just like a hair shorter than GRX. It would definitely not be an aesthetic fit, but if you just cared about functionality and wanted to run the 80/20 with the other pre-existing GRX components you had, you could totally do that. Overall, my conclusion is that it's nice to see this trekking gearing finally make it natively to a drop bar system. You know, this is a rabbit I've been chasing for many years with our Cave of Bad Ideas and Peak Mechanical, and usually it's a bodge between, you know, some certain component brands and derailleur extenders and all sorts of things like that. Here, it's nice to see it holistically in one kind of group set, if you will. Now, whether or not Shimano will tout this, probably not. But for those of you that are always constantly in search for wide gear range rather than more individual gears and low gears, then CUES is a compelling option. Again, this is a super first look. I wanted to get this video out there before we went to Made. So when we get back, we'll do some riding, hopefully some tours with this setup, see how robust it is, see a little bit more about how well the brakes work, especially with a load. But so far, I'm fairly optimistic. I think I may get the actual CUES front derailleur just to see how it's different from the S-Ride. And again, when we get back, I will also pop in this more mountain bike style front derailleur, which I've actually grown to like. It's got a smaller cage, so it works better with some subcompact doubles. And I've really come to appreciate this kind of front cable run. It's so much cleaner, feels more direct, all that good stuff. If you guys enjoyed this unauthorized first look, then definitely hit that like button. Better yet, join us on Patreon because I don't think we'll be getting any Shimano parts anytime soon. And if you want to see more hacks, then definitely check out our Peak Mechanical and Cave of Bad Ideas playlists. And as always, keep the supple side down.